Hello and welcome to another episode of today's GK. I am Pooja Dwivedi and in this segment we will discuss objective questions from daily current affairs. So let's move on to the practice question of the last segment. Consider the following statements. The Monetary Policy Report is published by the Monetary Policy Committee of RBI and the Governor of the RBI is the ex officio chairman of the Monetary Policy Committee. We have to select the correct statement. Okay, so both these statements are correct because yes, the Monetary Policy Report, it is released by the Monetary Policy Committee of RBI and the constitution of the Monetary Policy Committee was suggested in the year 2014 under the chairmanship of the then Deputy Governor Urjit Patel. And it consists of, this Monetary Policy Committee consists of 6 members including the Governor. And Governor is the ex officio chairperson. So the correct answer to this question is option C, both 1 and 2. Recently, the Reserve Bank of India released the Monetary Policy Report for the month of August 2021 and the Monetary Policy Report has been published by MPC of RBI. The MPC is a statutory body and institutionalized framework under the RBI Act 1934 for maintaining price stability while keeping in mind the objective of growth. The MPC determines the policy interest rate, that is the repo rate. Repo rate is the rate at which the RBI lends money to the commercial banks and that is required to achieve the inflation target of 4% with a leeway of 2 percentage points on the either side. That means this committee wants to have the inflation within the target range of 2% to 6%. Okay, and that is why this question has been asked because the report has been published recently. And the Governor of RBI is the ex officio chairperson of MPC. It consists of 6 members, 3 from the RBI including the Governor and 3 nominated by the central government. Moving on to the next question, consider the following statements in the view of quality of life for elderly index. It was released by the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister and the aged states refer to states with an elderly population of more than 5 million. Rajasthan was the top scoring region in relatively aged states. We have to select the correct statement. Okay, so quality of life for elderly index, this has been released and it was released by the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. And the 8 states, they do refer to states which have an aged population of more than 5 million. Keep this number in mind. Okay. And the third statement is incorrect because Rajasthan was the top scoring region in the aged states category and the relatively aged category in that 𝐻𝐻𝐒 Pradesh topped. And correct answer would be option 1 and 2. Yeah, option A. Recently, the quality of life for elderly index was released by Dr. Vivek Debroy, Chairman, Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. The aged states refer to the states with an elderly population of more than 5 million, whereas relatively aged states refer to states with an elderly population of less than 5 million. Moving on, Rajasthan and 𝐻𝐻𝐒 Pradesh are top scoring regions in aged and relatively aged states respectively. Moving on, which of the following countries has assumed chairmanship of the Forum of the Election Management Bodies of South Asia, that is FEMBOSA, of 2021? The correct answer to this question is option B, Bhutan. Recently, the Chief Election Commissioner of India and current chairman of FEMBOSA inaugurated the 11th annual meeting of the Forum of the Election Management Bodies of South Asia for the year 2021. ECI handed over Chair FEMBOSA role to Election Commission of Bhutan for 21-22. Consider the following statements. The Department of Public Enterprise comes under the Ministry of Heavy Industries and the Public Sector Enterprises Survey is released annually by the DPE. We have to select the correct statement. The Department of Public Enterprise, this comes under the Ministry of Finance and not Ministry of Heavy Industry. Okay, so the first statement is incorrect. The second is correct. The correct answer to this question is option B. Okay. Recently, the Department of Public Enterprises, Ministry of Finance, Government of India annually released the Public Sector Enterprise Survey. On the performance of central public sector enterprise, the government relocated the Department of Public Enterprises to the Finance Ministry from the Ministry of Heavy Industry. That is where this question has been asked. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force. It is the Central Armed Police Force functioning under the Ministry of Home Affairs. ITBP is deployed on the border guarding duties from Karakoram Pass in Ladakh to Nathula in Sikkim only. ITBP is also deployed for anti-Naxal operations and other internal security duties. So we have to select the statements which is or are incorrect. Okay, the second statement through and through is incorrect. Okay, and the first and the second are correct. Let's know why. The correct answer first is option C, two only. Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force is a central armed police force functioning under the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Presently, ITBP is deployed on border guarding duties from Karakoram Pass in Ladakh to Jachipla in Arunachal Pradesh, covering 3,488 km of Indo-China border. The force is also deployed for anti-Naxal operations and other internal security duties. Moving on, consider the following statements. Palm oil is currently the most consumed edible oil in India, and that is in the world. And India's palm oil exports comprise more than 50% of its total vegetable oil exports. We have to select the correct statement. India's palm oil exports actually comprise up to 55%. So, the second statement is incorrect, but the first statement is correct. The correct answer to this question is option A. Palm oil is currently the world's most consumed vegetable oil, used extensively in the production of detergents, plastics, cosmetics, and biofuels. The top consumer of the commodity are India, China, and European Union. India is the largest consumer of vegetable oil in the world. Of this, palm oil imports are almost 55% of its total vegetable oil imports. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements with respect to Bhil tribe. The Bhil are one of the largest tribal groups living in Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Karnataka, Rajasthan only. The name is derived from the word Bilu, which means bow, and the Bhils revolted in 1825 against the new masters and the British under the leadership of Sevaram. So the Bhil tribe, they reside in Chhattisgarh, this is correct, Rajasthan is correct, Gujarat and Karnataka is also there. Not only, because they also reside in Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. So the first statement is incorrect. The second statement is correct, that the word comes from Bilu, which means bow, and they did revolt earlier than 1825 as well, and then again in 1825 against the masters and the British, and they were under the leadership of Sevaram. Okay, so the correct answer should be, we had to select the correct ones, 2 and 3, that is option C. A dispute in Rajasthan's Udaipur district over hoisting of a flag on August 9 on the statue of Rana Punja Bhil, a historical figure considered as a hero by the tribal Bhil community, has triggered tensions. The Bhil are one of the largest tribal groups living in Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Rajasthan. The name is derived from the word Bilu, which means bow. During 1817 to 19, they revolted against their new masters, the English East India Company, fearing agrarian hardships under the new regime. The British had crushed the revolt. However, the Bhils revolted again in 1825 under the leadership of Sevaram, encouraged by the reverses faced by the British in the First Anglo-Burmese War. Moving on, consider the following statements about the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. NCPCR is a statutory body set up in March 2007 under the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act 2005. It inquires into complaints regarding or relating to child's right to free and compulsory education under the Right to Education Act of 2009. It monitors the implementation of Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012. We have to select the correct statement. All these three statements are correct. The correct answer to this question is option D, 1, 2 and 3 only. Recently, the National Commission for the Protection of the Rights of the Child conducted a nationwide assessment of minority schools. The report was titled Impact of Exemption under Article 15, Clause 5 with regards to Article 21A of the Constitution of India on Education of Minority Communities. NCPCR, we have discussed these statements, so we shall move forward, but let's know that it is under the administrative control of Ministry of Women and Child Development. And the Commission's mandate is to ensure that all laws, policies, programs and administrative mechanisms are in consonance with the child's rights perspective as enshrined in the Constitution of India and also the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements with respect to Constitutional Amendment Bill. A Constitution Amendment Bill requires, or it has the power under Article 368 to be introduced only in the lower house, that is the Lok Sabha, and then has to be passed by each house by special majority. And like in any ordinary bill, there is a provision of joint sittings on a Constitution Amendment Bill. So let's see, we have to select the incorrect statement. A Constitution Amendment Bill under Article 368 can be introduced in either house, of the Parliament, and not only in the Lok Sabha. So the first statement is incorrect. And the second is also incorrect because there is not any provision with respect to joint seating for the Constitution Amendment Bill as well as Money Bill. Okay, so none of them being correct, we have to select the incorrect one. Option C is correct, 1 and 2. Recently, a Constitution Amendment Bill to restore the powers of the states to make their own OBC list was passed by the Parliament, and this was the 127th Constitutional Amendment Bill. Okay, let's move forward. Let's know about it. A Constitution Amendment Bill under Article 368 can be introduced in either house of the Parliament and has to be passed by each house by a special majority, and there is no provision of joint sittings on a Money Bill or a Constitution Amendment Bill. Moving on. The Board of School Education of which state has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the International Baccalaureate Program to improve education in government schools? It is option D, Delhi. Moving on. The Delhi Board of School Education has signed an MOU with IB to implement IB programs in 30 government schools this year, including 20 of its new schools of specialized excellence. The International Baccalaureate Program is a private international education board with its foundation office in Geneva. It has around 5,000 schools globally, and there are currently 193 IIB schools in India, all of which are top-end elite private schools. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to cryogenic technology used by Indian Space Research Organization or ISRO. Cryogenic engines use liquid hydrogen as the oxidizer and liquid oxygen as the fuel. Cryogenic engine is used by ISRO for its GSLV program. We have to select the correct statement. Yes, ISRO is deploying and has deployed cryogenic engine technology for its GSLV program. So the second statement is correct. But the first statement is incorrect because the cryogenic engines, they use hydrogen as a fuel and oxygen as a oxidizer. Okay. So this is used as a fuel and oxygen is used as the oxidizer. So the correct answer to this question is option B, that is 2 only. ISRO's Earth observation satellite launched from the Satish Dhawan Space Center on Thursday. However, minutes after the launch, it faced a setback as the mission could not be accomplished fully due to a performance anomaly in the cryogenic stage of the rocket. The space agency said that on Thursday, and ISRO's EOS-03 will help in the quick monitoring of natural disasters like cyclones, cloudbursts and thunderstorms. This is the second launch for ISRO in 2021 after its successful mission in February, which was Brazil's Earth observation satellite Amazonia 1 and 18 co-passenger satellites. Let's know about cryogenic technology. The word itself refers to the technology of sub-zero temperatures, and the cryogenic engines use liquid oxygen as the oxidizer and hydrogen as the fuel. Cryogenic engines used by ISRO for its GSLV program. Moving on to the practice question. Consider the following statements. Kaziranga National Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and Kaziranga National Park has the highest density of one-horned rhinos in the world. We have to select the correct statement. So I hope you'll be answering it correctly in the comment segment. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching. And also, if you have any feedback, kindly comment about it in the comment section. Thank you so much.